lots of other tasty games to look at beyond the Redskins-Eagles. Brandon, I'll start with you. What game has your attention on the NFL slate for Week 3?
I'm interested in the Minnesota-New Orleans game because it's kind of a gauge of who is for real in that matchup. The Saints, you lost to the Browns. The Cleveland Browns without Johnny Manziel. I know they started off bad. They kind of came back. But, you know, you expect the Saints to be there every year. And I know they've got the injury now with Mark Ingram. So, again, that's kind of want to see how they bounce back. And I'm sure they miss Darren Sproles now. They wish they had him. But Minnesota, on the other hand, is Matt Castle the guy long-term? Or, you know, how does he handle that defense against the Saints, which is kind of up and down. So I think it'll be a good gauge to see who's for real in that
You
matchup.
Talked about that whole game without mentioning Adrian Peterson. The fact that
I did that for a reason. I don't want to
that whole controversy is worth watching that game for regardless.
But yes,
I
very good point.
We'll see. All right, what do you got, Keith?
Yeah, we don't know as of Tuesday if Peterson's definitely going to play, but they definitely put him back on the roster.
Right.
The Saints haven't played a home game yet either, so the Saints are much better in that dome. That should be an interesting one. I'm going to go a little bit off the charts here. San Diego at Buffalo. Right. Now, when the schedule came out at the beginning of the season and you saw the Week 3 slate, nobody circled that one. Everybody probably circled Denver, Seattle, San Francisco, Arizona. But Buffalo's 2-0. And as much as we talk about Philadelphia's fast-paced offense, about the way Denver runs their offense, Buffalo's trying to run a lot of the same plays. They just don't have the personnel to make it look like Denver and Philadelphia make it look. But Sammy Watkins had a great week in Week 2. And you always got Fred Jackson there. You always have C.J. Spiller, right? You know, if E.J. Manuel plays well, you know, they're pretty good. And they beat the Bears in Week 1, so they're fairly decent. It's a cross-country trip for San Diego. San Diego's coming off a huge win against Seattle. So I think that's an interesting game that I certainly would not have been interested in 10 days ago. Now I'm interested in.
Yeah, right. 2-0 Buffalo, one of those surprise 2-0 teams. Dan,
yeah, the Buffalo thing just convinces me even more. We have to just stop watching preseason entirely because they look horrible in the preseason. It's horrible. You know, I'm going to take the obvious choice, which is the Super Bowl rematch, Denver at Seattle. I think Cincinnati's certainly been impressive, but Denver may be the most impressive team in the AFC so far. They beat 2 playoff teams from last year. Obviously, both of them at home. Obviously, neither of them were a blowout, and you know both of them were in it at the end. But you beat Kansas City and Indianapolis. That's kind of saying something. And Seattle, you know, all this talk about Richard Sherman, was he exposed last week? He obviously is not a fan of that line of argument. So Sherman's going to, I'm sure, be jabbering like crazy on Sunday. Seattle coming off a loss. It's got everything you want to be. I think that it's going to be a Seattle blowout, but I think it's got a lot of reasons to watch.
Yeah, Super Bowl rematch. I agree. I think Seattle wins going away, especially after they lost in San Diego. They'll be even more motivated. I also like the San Francisco-Arizona game. The Niners going down to 2-0 Arizona. Is Arizona for real? Could they possibly even contend in that stout division in the NFC West? If they beat the Niners at home on Sunday, that's an early statement in that division. It will be interesting to see if they can keep that up.